but balanced. And as we move through today, I just want you to keep in mind that we're not looking for perfect, just looking to enjoy where you're at and in that moment. So let's start at the top of the mat, and we'll bring our feet as wide as the mat. Give ourselves some generosity around the hips today. Feet are spread open wide. We're going to press down the four corners of the feet. We start to feel this buoyancy in the knees, and we're going to keep that throughout the practice. We don't want to lock out those knees. You're going to press away, lifting the roof of the head up towards that ceiling line. We start to lengthen our tail to the back of the mat and hold the ribs in the front, and the palms go open wide. Breathe in across your shoulders. And as you breathe out, feel those shoulders loosen. Listen to your breath, growing steadier and longer. Finding your rhythm. Growing the four corners of the ribs to the sides of the mat as you breathe in. And not tight, but contracting towards the center. Getting a sense of holding front to back body. And let's take the hands to prayer. On the next breath in, we might lift a Kegel. Breathe in, slide the shoulders down. Hands to the heart. Inhale, lift your heart to your thumbs. We're going to drop that backside so we have this buoyancy in the knees. Hinge low at the hips and curl that pressure off of your lower back. Ease up on your toes. You'll breathe up into what's tight in the back. And as you breathe out, take that lower belly in and up, and then open your hamstrings along that wall behind you. Nodding your head, a bit of no. And some yes. If you feel dizzy at all, then just keep your head above the heart anytime that the dizziness starts to hit. Or if you have high blood pressure. But if you're not dizzy, crown towards that ground. We're going to breathe in and sway both shoulders to the right. And then exhale both shoulders to the left. Waking up the lower back and the hip line. Our knees moving towards our large toes. So we don't want to let those knees cave in towards the center. Once more, breathing into the edges. And back. Drag your knuckles along the ground between your feet. You're going to get a light push at that first knuckle line. Calm down your shoulders. Bow your head here. Inhale. A curve from your hips along your shoulders, down the arms. And we'll go once more here. And as you breathe in, set your knees over the tops of the feet. Drop that butt as deeply as you need to, and we're going to roll that up with our knees bent generously, pressing the four corners of the feet. Wakeful as you inhale and lift under your heart, and exhale, bring those hands to prayer. We're going to walk our feet in, either hip bone distance or the large toes to the center with the heels separated. Yogi's choice, the elbows relaxed. And our shoulders away from the ear line. A lift in the heart. We're going to warm up those shoulders very easy, floating the elbows upward and spreading the fingers out wide. Inhale, engage with your bandhas, lengthening that tail, pressing the four corners of the feet. And breathe in that Kegel. Exhale, press across the palm circles, the knuckles very gently. We're going to send those hands forward, warm shoulders. Separate the hands shoulder width. Slide the shoulders away from the ears, creating a heaviness in the shoulders. Breathe in, draw just your wrists up, and as you breathe out, hug the shoulders to the heart. We're going to get another generous inhale. And on any exhale, you're gonna press those hands back towards the body. Let's add on to that. Breathe in, and I'm reaching for a sun salutation. And on an exhale, you could take prayer or arms wide if your back was okay, and hinge that forward fold. Hands to your feet. Breathe in, press, and rise up as high as you need to feel that neutral spine. And on an exhale, the forward fold. Temple your fingers here. We're gonna lift our hips and step back the left foot into the lunge. You can continue on this tall lunge, or if you need to, set a knee to the ground for a moment. Check your alignment. You could make your feet wider if you had trouble with balance. If you look back and you see your toes, let's just sneak those toes in line with that left knee. I'm gonna warm this up. Inhaling, drifting both hips forward, stopping the knee at the ankle, and then exhaling, drifting that hip on the left just over the knee line. As we come forward, we're opening that heart. And as you travel back, press the four corners of that right foot to lengthen your shin. Once more, forward, and now I'm gonna hold this one back for a moment. Breathe across the shoulders, easy there. And I'm standing this up. Press the feet and lift the hips. We feel this height in the torso. Heart up the wall. Slide the shoulders down to heaven again. Inhale. Pick up your left hip. And as you exhale, we can wipe that wall. You can put your left hand to a block or a fist or templed fingers, palms, but we're keeping the hands easy. If the neck is bothersome, circle your nose down and around until you set your drishti forward, lifting your heart up where you're looking. If you've already got your leg long, excellent. I'm going to join you here, toes under, pressing the toes firm into the ground, and we'll bring up our thigh bone, heel to the back wall, centering the hips, and we're working on lifting the entire left edge. So the left shoulder is calm, and you feel that whole left edge hold off the ground. Another generous breath in here. I'm going to be modifying the plank, so if you want to move ahead of me to full plank, excellent. Or you could drift your knee to the ground when you're ready. Wander back and sweep to your hands and knees. You can put the wrists underneath the shoulders or a flat fist with thumbs forward if those wrists are bothering you today. And come back to your thighs, that meaty tissue above the knee. And the real trick to plank is engaging that core. The shoulders go level, and you're holding your ribs up flat and wide. So you get this beautiful lift under the shoulder line. Inhale, press your everything away. And on an exhale, elbows straight back. Taking 3 small cobras here. Hands by the chest or a little bit forward. Set your hips to the ground. As you breathe in, strengthen from your feet all the way up, open your heart. And we'll exhale, take that down. Twice more, breathing in. Your hips are on the ground, you're lifting your lower belly and your head. Back down, and once more, inhale. Just enjoying that length, and down. Hands to the chest line, elbows close. You could flip a down dog or take some child's pose here. Breathing in, up the back, lengthening the tail. And there's many versions of child's pose. For this one, I have my knees a bit separated. My fingers are open wide. And we're thinking of a curving line. So from the crown of your head to your tail, you feel this curve and this smoothness. Now the arms are the same. Spread your fingers, press your fingerprints, and you get the smoothness down the shoulders, through the hips. Another generous breath here. And we'll slowly rise up and set into our downward facing dog. If you have shoulder issues, then instead of having your hands shoulder width, you could separate and take your hands as wide as your mat, moving the first fingers to the corners. pushing the tissue at this corner of the first finger and thumb. You're rolling the ground at your fingerprints. And just as we were a moment ago, we feel that curve. The ribs are holding flat and wide. We have the curve to the tail, and that tail is heading towards the wall behind us. Holding on to puppy here, or strengthen your biceps. And continue that curl. Walking your feet in, bending your knees and belly to thigh. When the hamstrings are all right, we could press our thighs and lengthen the legs. If you have trouble here, you could walk your feet wider just like you walked your hands wider. It's what feels most generous to you. Nod your head, a little bit of no if it's time. And some yes as we look back at our knees. Inhale, roll the ground at your fingerprints. Lengthen the tail. It's 11 o'clock. We're gonna ease up here. Now we're walking up to the front of the mat. So where you are, press that ground away. Roll to the balls of the feet, bellies to thighs. Lift your chest, look up. You're gonna keep lifting the chest as you bring the hips up, and we'll walk up on an exhale to the top of the mat. Ease up on your wrists, maybe they're tight. We could circle the wrists here. Bow your head, open those hamstrings. Hands to your feet. Breathing in, press and rise up. Holding the ribs off that ground and away from the hips. Hinge on an exhale to the fold. I'm gonna roll this one. Knees over the tops of the feet. As you breathe out, you can roll it up. If you choose to reverse, no worries, we'll meet you at the top. Breathing in, shoulders down, and breathing out, back to your mountain. Elbows down, shoulders comfortable. Check in with your breath here. Steady. And when you have an inhale, lift a cable. Breathe in. Open your heart. Exhale, close the ribs, and find that float to the ground. Hands on the feet. Inhale, press and rise. And we'll work into the other side. Bringing the weight across the four corners of the left foot. Hips rising, left hamstring is wide. We'll step the right foot well back into that lunge. If you'd like to warm that lunge up, knee to the ground, check your alignment. Feet are in line with your knees, centering your hips. On a breath in, you could wander both hips forward, and as you breathe out, wander back. Take a moment to check in with your breath again. Ribs expanding on the inhale. I'm going to hold this one back there. Smooth across the shoulders. Soft on the brow. I'm going to stand this up. Pressing the feet, gathering the hips. We feel this right hip lifting, engaged at the core, heart tall. Slide the shoulders down heavy here. Breathe in that heaviness. So it feels like the shoulders are steady. Open up taller, and we'll wipe that ground here. Setting the fingerprints under the shoulders, a fist, a palm, a block, and then toes under. We'll press the toes firm. Pick up our right thigh bone, heel to that back wall, and lifting, heart taller, easing up on the neck. Listen. Holding up the entire right side. We'll set that knee down, very soft on the landing. If you choose to modify, wander back and sweep. You're on your thighs. If you decided to go to the full plank, then you keep your shoulders away from the ears and you find the core, ribs flat. Rock a bit forward, exhaling, closing the ribs, and landing. Easy, shoulders out of the ear line. Working into that cobra on an inhale, heart tall, exhale, hands to the chest, and back into either dog or child's pose. If you'd like to work a slightly different area, if your back needs some release in the middle, then wander your knees closer together here. You can even stack your fists on a block if you can't reach the ground. A light push on the tops of your feet to anchor. I'm going to go once more here. If that neck is tight, ease up. Hands under the shoulders. We're going to roll that. And maybe you're already in your dog. Awesome. I'm going to open the fingers and open up the toes. Last time I had my hands as wide as the mat. This time I'm just going shoulder width. But wherever they are, spread them wide. Keep the buoyant elbow. Feel the lift of the ribs. Bow your head and press the world away here. You can stay on the ground, pressing out to the little toes. Or on an exhale, roll that ground into fingerprints and up into your down dog. Bow your head here. If you decide to lengthen the legs, there's a light push on your thighs. Very kind to the creases behind your knees. I would encourage you to strengthen your weaker side. And again. We're going to walk this up, rising to the balls of the feet, belly to thigh, heart lifting, lift the hips, and on an exhale, walk it up to your forward fold. Opening your hamstrings here, hands on your feet, breathing into that length, and on an exhale, close, bow. Last time we rolled it up. To reverse, you keep your knees buoyant, your heart forward, arms wide. So you have a bit of a seat, hinge, and then at the top is that lengthen. Exhaling home, hands to the prayer. Easing on that neck today. And we'll add in here. If you like to keep your cobra and your child's pose, I'm going to leave you time to do that. If you decide you'd like to go to an up dog and then down dog, I'll be talking you through that as well. Yogi's choice. When you're ready, on an inhale, fill that body up. Reach, exhale, close the ribs, hand to the bow, hands on the feet. Breathe in, press and rise here. And exhale, down. You could walk back, but I'm going to temple the fingers and step the left foot back, keeping the right foot forward into the lunge. If it's plank into up dog, then we place the whole hand to the ground under the shoulders. Pressing the palm circles. No locked elbows. Lift your hips slightly so you're not starting crunched. And then we lengthen, holding the ribs up flat and wide. We would rock just a bit forward. Press the tops of the feet for up dog. Pull away. Open the heart. And then down dog, closing the ribs. Walking our feet in. And then don't be afraid to make adjustments. You might walk your hands wider. You might walk your feet wider. Whatever it is that your body needs. And today, I'm taking this into a three-legged dog. So I'm pressing the fingerprints, shoulders out of the ears, looking at the knees, and taking the right leg straight back. And then bend that right knee, press the right thigh bone, holding up the left rib cage because it's going to want to collapse. Inhale, roll the ground, exhale, pressing that thigh. Feels amazing across the hip on the right. high up that leg goes. This is not about being perfect. It's about enjoying the length there. So strengthen, lengthen. And I'll be modifying, stepping this up. If you'd like to sweep up your right foot from the down dog into your lunge, awesome. Or take the hands and knees down. If you prefer a flat fist here, move a flat fist under your shoulders, and we'll bring back our right leg from either the hands and knees or the down dog. Inhale, press away. On an exhale, hold the ribs up. Look up, push your left knuckles, and step the right foot up into that lunge. Our fingerprints, easy. Setting your warrior twos. Toes under, push the toes firm, thigh bone lifting. Draw down the back edge. We feel the tail lengthen, not too tight across that backside. Shoulders over the hip line. Our front knee is moving in line with our big toes in the front. And if we need to reset the entire thing, we'll press up tall. Lengthen and float down here. Widening the hips and the shoulders away from that wall in front of us. And check in with your breath. Once more. Smoother on the brow. We'll set the reverse. You could continue, or if you need a break, reach for a moment. Float down, flipping the palm of your right hand. Left thumb to the ground. Press back, and then we just stop where it lands. Spreading the hand wide, easy on the shoulder, the elbow, and then the right shoulder gets very heavy. Strengthen, engage your bandhas. Feet, core, bit of kegel, and keep it steady. To lengthen, we lift the heart, and then it's the skin between the rib cage and the hip that goes longer. If your neck is bothered, try drawing your nose down or even looking towards the back of the mouth. Twice more here. And unravel the left shoulder. Right fingerprints to the ground, left fingerprints down on our toes. You're welcome to step that full plank. If you need a break, drop that knee down and wander back into any version of plank that doesn't make you sad. And if that looks like child's pose, understood. Breathe in, hold the ribs up. Breathing out, wandering down into either your cobra or your up dog. As you breathe in, you could flip a down dog. You can take some child's pose if you needed that ease today. Breathe in where you are. And then in the dog. If you're already there, great, check in with it again. Or set the down dog. Breathe in, strengthen. And as you breathe out, you could lift this up when ready. For the three-legged dog, find your position. Roll the ground. Enjoy those curves in your back. And the left leg comes back. Bend the left knee. And we feel the left thigh bone press up, lifting the opposite rib cage. Inhale, strengthen. Feel the thigh bone press. Oh my gosh, so good on the hip. I'll be modifying again. You're more than welcome to bring this up from the dog or bring it back to center. Set your knees underneath your hips, your wrists or your flat fists underneath your shoulder line, and left leg back this time. Breathe in, center it, press your front body off the ground, floating that leg back. Ribs flat wide on the exhale. Draw the knee to the ribs. Look up. Step up. Ease into that lunge. Fingerprints. Toes under. Draw the thigh bone up if it's not up already. Bring down your back edge here. Calming down your back hip. Tail long. To your warrior two. If you need to wake it up. Lengthen, float, wider at the hips and the shoulders, and more present. It's not the time to check out, guys. You want to check in, strengthen your back edge. And bringing it into the reverse. If you need to give the front knee a break, lengthen and float down here. Palm up on the left, right thumb down on the back. A sweep back, steady. Shoulder heavy on the left. Breathe up, front to back. Feel the heart lift. Stretch that skin between the rib and hip line. Truly, you can look back. Where we look often adjusts where the chest is. So if you are looking back, beware of that pull downward. We try to keep that heart lifting. But I never want your neck to feel sad in yoga. Once more. Or mine for that matter. We'll slowly unravel the back shoulder and temple the fingers here. Temple onto our toes, finding that lunge. Again, if it was a full plank, whole palm to the ground. I would encourage you to strengthen your weaker arm. Step back. Bring the shoulders comfortable. And we could rock forward. If it was up dog, you could put a slight bend on the elbows. Hips forward, open the heart. Close the ribs, walk the feet in, or take your child's pose. Breathe up into those knots at your dominant shoulder. Loosen, nod the head around. Wakeful. Once more. We're going to be stepping our left foot up into the lunge. So you can move to the hands and knees or extend your left leg back from your down dog, keeping your hips steady. As we breathe out, draw the ribs up. We look up, we feel that rock forward, step up. There's your lunge. And as you breathe out, buoyant, lift the hips and step up as many steps as you need into forward fold. Breathing in, lifting up the length, and exhale. Take that length into your bow. Ready for chair. Sweep the ground, hands to your heart. We have the weight set in the heels. I would encourage you to perhaps put a little more weight into your weaker heel. Ribs flattening, tail lengthening, drawing the four corners to the ribs. If your back is okay and you'd like to reach the arms longer, you could separate the hands to give your shoulders some more space. Shoulders heavier, just the wrists rising. Hug the shoulder blades to the heart. If the neck starts to snap, line your nose down. Down a breath in, press. Hands back home. And we're going to make this a forward fold. So hands to the hips, separate your feet hip bone distance if they wander together. Inhale, heart rising. Elbows back, we'll drop that hip line, hinge that seat and bow. Hands to your calves, your ankles. Eventually, the first two fingers might hook your large toes here. Personally, I like to bend the elbows towards the wall behind me, but some people prefer elbows to the sides. Set the elbows. Open your hamstrings. Not looking for straight legs, just to that point of resistance. Breathe up along your back. Close the ribs. Bow your head here. Nod a little bit of no if it's tight on you. Some of you can lengthen while holding the toes. But if you're not quite there yet, no worries. Bring your hands to your feet. Breathe in, press up to neutral. And on an exhale, take that bow. Now we're dragging the knuckles on the outside of the feet. Shoulders down. Oh, awesome curve. From our hips, up the backs, down the shoulders, through the arms. Eventually, you could bring your hands under your feet. And I say eventually because that probably took me about a year to gain that length. So be patient. Eventually, you can bring your big toe up to the base of your thumb. Big toe to the base of that thumb line. And that's going to give a wonderful counter stretch to the hands, the wrists, the forearms. But we also feel an opening underneath the shoulders here. And who am I kidding? Kind of all around good. Inhale, up into your back. Almost imagining that you have hands on your lower back. And you're going to breathe up against those hands, softening the hip creases at the tops of the thighs. One more generous breath here. Letting your hands go. If you roll up, just make sure that you're getting that amount of breath that you need. So come up with as many breaths as you like. To hinge up, hands would go to the hips. We would press the thighs. Exhale, chest forward. Inhale, hinging that neutral spine up. Now turn towards the right side of your mat. We're going to walk our feet out as wide as we are tall. So that's as wide as your wrists and your toes are moving inward. So you're just a bit pigeon-toed here. You can go as wide with the feet as you like, as long as the insteps are comfortable and you can engage the outer edges of the feet. Hips are floating over that instep line. Heart tall. Breathe in. Press away here. Arms wide. Thumbs down. Hands to the hips. Inhale. Lift the heart. Drop that butt a bit so you have that seat and the creases behind the knees are soft to the forward fold. On an inhale, let's wander to the front foot, the left foot, and on the exhale, let's wander towards the back foot. Breathing in. If there's a spot that feels so good, you want to linger there, understood. It's your practice. If you wander in and you just want to hold, excellent. Wander the other direction. Back into the center, creating some more length. We're going to walk our hands forward, really trying to adjust our hips over the instep line. Not looking for perfect. Draw the ribs out. Hinge, fold. If you have issues with balance, let's keep the templed fingers under the shoulders. Breathe in. If you could bring your whole hand to the ground here, under the shoulders. Elbows bent towards the wall behind you. We could engage and lift our hips a bit higher. On an exhale, press your palm circles. Close your wrists And when you do that, the hips go higher up into the air. Eventually this becomes your headstand. If you'd like to put one in here, welcome to do so. Very kind to the creases behind your knees. Once more, you find that breath in. On the exhale, close the ribs, press your palms, hips even higher. I'm going to roll this one up, dropping the butt generously and rising up. You could hinge if you prefer. Hands to the center and then down to the hips. We're setting our triangle. Taking your left heel in, your left toes to your front wall. Looking at your back toes. They're still pigeoned if they've wandered around a little bit. Pigeon them in. We're going to bring our hip higher in the back. Hold that core. Press the feet. There's your bandhas at the base of the feet. Lengthen by sliding down your left shoulder, reaching for the top of your mat. You draw that shoulder forward on the left, lifting the left rib cage. Set your hand where it arrives, palm open or to your thigh. It might even be hooking your big toe. Press, revolve the rib cage, nod your head. If you have shoulder issues, we're just going to sweep this back hand out of the way or slide your shoulder off your ear. Revolve, look at your thumb, back of the neck is smooth. Lightly pressing that top palm to engage. 3 more. Once more. Looking down to the ground. Bend your front knee. We're going to set a reverse warrior just to ease up the side body. Fingertips down and fingertips down. On our back toes, I'm going to start this with the knee setting down to the ground. If you had a block you wanted to place underneath your shoulder here, temples, fists, awesome. We're going to slide our shoulder on the left away from the ear. Breathe in, press your feet into the ground, heels towards the sky on that back foot, or you could already have your toes under. As you breathe out, turn your right rib cage towards your left thigh. And then we just wander this top arm up. And then we might take it back under and thread through just to warm it up for a moment. Shoulder goes level. Pick up your rib cage. And maybe your arm doesn't get that far. It's fine. Close and under. I'm going to go once more like that. Just waking it up. Revolving. Feels good on that hip crease. Under. Set the shoulder. Lift. If the neck is tight, turn the ears side to side. Looking towards that top thumb. And eventually your toes come under, pressing your thigh bone up here. And again, you're holding that whole edge. Up that right side. I'm working with a flat fist. You could have an open palm or a block there. And just check in. We don't want too much weight in that hand, because you're really holding up the edge of your body. Once more. And we'll draw that back knee down. I'm going to wander back, sweep to the hands and knees. Oh, my mat decided to come with me. And we'll move a bit of cat and cow to reset the whole line. Inhale, rising up into the cat. Good under the shoulders. Exhale. Cow, belly heavy, tail rising. Moving through neutral. Stretching the skin on the back. Through neutral. Belly heavy. Once more, press your foundation. Palm circles, tops of the feet. Keep pressing that foundation. And then arriving back into the center. Now I'm going to super modify this one. I'm going to put the elbows underneath the shoulders and cup my hands in front. And then wander to the thigh bones. You can take any version of plank you want. Inhale, hold the ribs up, flat and wide. Set the hips to the ground. Hands placed at the chest, moving into your cobra. On an inhale, finding that rise, take it down. Exhaling, child's pose or dog. I can't recommend child's pose enough though. Most bodies need it. Up into that dog. And you guys are home, and I am home. So I can't adjust you, but I am going to talk you through how to do a self-adjustment. You're like, oh, that's not nearly as nice. I understand. As you lift up into your dog, find your version of dog. And then to find a bit more length, roll to the balls of your feet, bellies to your thighs. Engage that upward curve. So we don't want the curve to go inward, the biceps strengthen, the forearms are stable. And you're lifting that curve towards the ceiling. Then to gain more length, roll up to the balls of your feet. Press your fingerprints, lengthen that tail. As you breathe out, float your heels to the ground gingerly, pressing your thighs. Once more. And rolling to the balls of the feet. And your choice if you want to walk, jump, or simply float up. A lunge into your forward fold. Excellent. We'll all meet up eventually. Breathing in, press and rise here. Breathing out to your bow. Setting your roll or your reverse to that full body stretch. Back home. Mountain. If the neck got tight, sniff that air down and around. And we'll work the other side, if I can remember it. I'm pretty sure I can. So we walk our feet out as wide as we are tall. Our toes moving inward. Pressing our outer edges here. Kind of soften up your bum some. We don't want that too tight. Palms open, heart tall. Breathe in, the reach. We'll breathe out. Thumbs down, hands to the hips. Place your breath between your shoulder blades. Lift, and there's your seat. Hinge, fold, fingertips down. Breathing in, we'll wander towards our front foot, the right foot. Breathing out, wandering over to the other side. You're placing your breath up to the ceiling. In between breaths, there's a natural pause. I would really welcome you at the end of your exhale to just take that moment and breathe it in until you arrive back into that center, wandering your hands forward, shifting your hips over that instep line, hinging and bowing here, walking the hands in, temple the fingers, or open the palms, and you can keep the hands to the ground, or take your hands to your calves, your ankles, eventually your first two fingers hooking your large toes. I thought I heard you get up from your nap. Yeah, hey honey. And we get that deep breath up into that back. Exhaling, that belly in, Be very kind to those creases behind your knees. And you feel that open, open. You're like sweet one. One more breath here. And then we're gonna bring our hands to the ground. If you'd like to, you can roll this up like we did last time, backside in my face. Or to hinge up, hands to your hips, chest forward, breathing in as you lift this up. Hands to our prayer, down to the hips, triangle. Taking your front heel in and the toes to the front of your mat, your back toes. Have that bit of pigeon. We're lifting up the back hip, the left hip. Engage the palms of your feet, your core. You could feel the reach to the front wall, lifting that front shoulder, that right shoulder, hands to the inside. Again, sweeping back the arm if your shoulder is saying, no thank you today. You could revolve here or slide your shoulder away from your ear. Press your ground. And really you're doing that with every breath in. Strengthening, engaging, hinging. Once more. Look to the earth. Bend your front knee, drawing up into the reverse. Nice edge there between the rib and hip. Fingertips down on our toes. Setting down the back knee. You can wander your feet wider if you feel like you need more stability today. And this time, we have our left hand under the shoulder, flat fisting up on a block for some more height. Breathe in. Shoulder goes down out of the ears. It may not be moving much more than that today, but we feel the stability of the front knee in line with the toe, the press of the back foot. Lift your rib cage and revolve. If you like movement, close the ribs and thread under. Breathing in, shoulders level, lift the rib cage, revolve, close, under. We really want to put the weight into our feet, pressing off that ground. We try to keep as much weight off of that left arm and shoulder as we can. I'm going to set this one, lift, revolve, ease up on the neckline. Inhale, toes under. When you feel steady, lift up your thigh bone. Holding at the whole left edge, turning. Feeling the length across the shoulders. We want to stack as much as we can. And maybe we don't stack that arms forward, but we won't move it past the line and back. Stacked and no more. One more generous breath here. And taking our back knee down and releasing, sleeping. Now last time we did our cat and cow. This time I'm going to wag the dog. So we start wrists under shoulders, which is not that far away. Torsos are not very long. A neutral tail, pressing the foundation. And on a breath in, draw the right rib and hip together. Open your left side. And then left rib and hip together, lengthening the right. If the knees are bothersome, don't worry about sweeping the feet. You can keep your feet right where they are, or we breathe in. Sweep our feet, nose into the shoulder, and breathe out. Sweep our feet. Twice more for me on each side. Once more. Back into the center. Choose your adventure. If you want a full plank, terrific. I'm going to set the elbows under the shoulders. I'm going to walk back to the thighs. Breathe in, hold the ribs up. flat wide, and just enjoy that hip melting into the ground. Setting up the cobra, hands to the chest or a bit forward if you need it. Breathe in, left and right, down, hands to the chest, child's pose on the exhale. This time I'm choosing to draw the elbows down. Second to last down dog. I'm sneaking in a bit of pigeon here. Hands open, toes open. Breathing. That roll up the back. Rising up to the dog. Wandering around. Taking the right leg straight back, right knee through the hands, hold up the ribs, look up, sneak that through. Okay, if sitting in the pigeon is a bother for you, I understand. You might take a blanket or a block and put it underneath this hip line. And if you're really in trouble, open up your front foot to keep the knee safe and bend your back knee so you feel like you're on this S position. And then wander your hip onto that height. We feel the hips rise. And that could be as far as we get. We could just welcome that length on the back thigh. I'll turn sideways if you guys need to see it here. So we have that nice bit of S going on. If you want to walk your hands forward of that front shin and you're modifying, you could bring the hands down, take a bit of a bow. And that's a great way to ease up on hips, pelvises that just don't like that pigeon pose. And then if you're coming into that full length, you have the heel to your groin. The back leg is long. You could stack. You could cup your head in your hands. I would like to take a block or a mat, rolled up towel at the brow. Take the brow to the top of that. Elbows under the shoulders. And that way the shoulders and the neck really smooth out. You're strengthening the top of your left foot. Perfect time to listen to your breath grow longer. I swear I could fall asleep here, but we still have the other side to do. I'm going to draw up that down dog. Hands underneath the shoulders. Our toes under on the back. We don't want to use the arms, weakest part of the body. Lift your core, lift your hips, walk your hands around. If your legs need to wake up, tread your feet for a moment. You could draw a knee to the center, hold up the opposite side. Knee to the center, hold up that opposite side. Until you arrive back. Breathe in. We have the left leg back. We're going to draw that left knee through. And if you find coming straight at the position is just too much, then place that blanket, that block, underneath your hip. Bend your back knee. temple your fingers for a moment, forward of that shin line. Reach, hinge. Doesn't have to be deep. Remember, we're not looking for perfect, just to what feels good. Back off at any time. If you're lengthening that back leg, then your heel goes to that opposite groin. Handsome. We have a deep breath in here. And you choose. Who doesn't like a bit of a butt rub? Yeah, there you go, buddy. And you can take that block or that blanket into the center. Yeah. You want a blanket? I'm sorry. I should fold that out for you. There you go. Yeah, that's what I thought. Breathing deep into the hip crease. Once more. And we'll draw the hip to the ground on the left, sweeping our right leg. And we'll come in to our last bit. I'm just in a simple cross-legged posture. If you'd like to have the heel to the heel in the center, or a half or full lotus, you choose the seat that you like. If you feel like you need the height, then take your bolster or that extra block and just bring it right underneath your backside to help your knees calm down today. Very much grateful from the practice. Get a sense of how you feel on the ground. Your tail begins to lengthen to the earth, hips rising. Feeling out the base of the spine, replacing fear with steadiness. Our palms open beside us as we welcome ourselves home, reaching to the prayer. Thumb to ground, that steadiness into our minds today. Namaste. Oh, it was a pleasure sharing my practice with you guys.